Alright, welcome back to another podcast, everybody. We're gonna have some fun discussing personal issue bullshit and what's going on with the world. It's personal opinion. It's not fact. Some of it's fact, but it's not.
Yeah, that's a new word. I like the word impeccable.
It's
Might have to
pretty
add
much
to my
not.
repertoire of words.
Don't take it too personal. It's just our personal opinion and preference. Okay, now.
What kind of words you know?
What do you want?
I know
Can
you know
you
impeccable.
y'all want to talk
Listen
about
here.
stuff?
At least done. Oh well. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Ambiguous?
I don't know, Angel. What do you think?
I mean, you were about to discuss, what's going on in the world besides... I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. I mean, let's just be honest with that at the moment.
Well, yeah, that's why we're having this discussion about which one we should talk about first.
We should let's do a Russian roulette and do random and see what
Russian
happens.
Russian roulette.
Russian
Damn.
roulette, it's pretty fucking bad. Like, I'm not gonna lie, because...
And the fall.
Or, well, what do you feel like we could talk the most
Are you
about
doing
first?
your podcast anytime soon?
Huh?
Are you going to do your
I'm already doing it.
Oh.
The economy.
The economy.
I mean,
I
that's...
don't know much about the economy.
I mean, either. I mean, I was just asking. I mean, you said.
I mean, we
talked a lot
could
about.
we could talk
Yeah,
about
like,
the
the
economy.
economy.
We could talk about the economy if you want. I mean, at the fact that we're making more than we ever have since literally 1930 an hour, and yet we can barely afford to pay rent.
I mean, that's kind of common knowledge. I don't think that's really an interesting topic.
Well,
Well, I
It's like
mean,
it's like preaching to the choir.
well, yeah. I mean, that, and I've been seeing all over everywhere, like, people were saying, back in 1930, a person making, like, $1,800 to $2,000 a month for one person was able to get a house for, like, $30,000 or something, and since then it's got, because of inflation and everything, it's gone up by, like, 80% or some shit.
all right. Now, what I want is an essay from each of you describing why you think the problem is happening and what we can do to fix it.
Oh, yeah, no.
5 pages. 5 pages, please.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. We're not in school no more, Allendale.
Look, it's just a joke, guys. It's just a joke.
I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, with the Destiny 2 DDoS bullcrap.
Oh, you know what is interesting?
What?
A lot of people have told me that I would be a good substitute teacher.
Not real teacher.
Wow. Okay.
Do you believe it?
I mean,
No.
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 No,
Damn. Okay.
I don't believe in you.
Okay. Fine.
I mean,
Let's
Let's go.
I mean,
Down to being realistic.
I mean, in a way, yeah, I could see it, but I mean,
I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
I can see
because
it
how I
too.
talk. Well, see, here's the thing. Because I wouldn't talk to the kids the way I talk to you guys.
well, I would hope not. I mean,
Right.
we're not kids anymore, Allendale. Some of us are older than you.
Sorry.
But I mean,
I'm about to get a new car though.
well, that's good.
Yeah. Guess how much it's gonna cost?
A lot of money.
Guess how much it costs? Guess how much it costs with everything?
A lot of money.
7K.
No, 42.
Are you getting a used car? or-
$42,000 for a fucking car. Yeah, see, yeah. Back then, you could probably, like, from what I was understanding when I was looking at all this shit that I was seeing on, like, Facebook Reels and TikTok earlier, they said back in 1930 you could buy a car for, like, a brand new car for maybe, like, at most
Well, I mean,
10,000.
honey, that was the reason why why the Great Depression happened.
Mm-hmm.
Was because a lot of people were taking loans out because Henry
Mhm.
Ford made
It was all
it
credit.
easier, all credit. He was the one who was making a lot of people to buy a car in dividends in small amounts, so they don't have to pay it all up front.
Yeah, but
And now,
no,
wow, for the common Joe, I mean, Common Joe speaking a middle class white man to afford a car.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you also got to remember too. Nowadays, people can barely afford to pay their rent and get fucking groceries to eat. Nowadays, let alone buy a fucking car. The common, average Joe, middle class working person.
I hear what you're saying, but the problem is if you actually look at the United States, it is not that close as you might think it is. The average household income is over like $70,000. And
is that for one person? Is that with one person working, or is that with two? Because you also got to remember too.
Well, it's two. It's a household.
Okay.
For each person, average like 43.
Okay, but you also got to remember, not every person. There's like the majority of people who are working class are single parents.
I understand that. I get that.
The point is that we're making a generalization based on the information that's available.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
whether they're single parent, whether they're dual earners, whatever, the average income for everyone is about that.
Well, yeah.
If you really think about it, I live in a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. I'm about to get a car note with car insurance, and with food on my own. I buy my own food. I probably spend around, in total, $2,000 a month.
That's it. But that's for yourself.
Okay.
But that's for yourself.
But if you think about it, I'm only getting. That's only with $2,500 a month of gross, like just nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm considered to be making about half of the national average of income for a household.
Yeah, but you're also going to school getting a medical degree to be a doctor. Not everybody's
I understand that, but
either.
I'm trying to give you an example.
Well, yeah, but here.
So think about it. Let's say I'm a single mother. Same cost of apartment, same cost of note. I'll add an extra, say, $800 for the child. For the single child.
Yeah.
If she is at least near the average income, she should have no problem making the money.
Well, true.
However, the problem is that average of $75,000 a year of household income skewed positively because of the many billionaires that we have in this country.
Yeah, but here's the other thing, though.
That's the problem.
Here's the other thing. You're talking about where in the U.S. women make less an hour than a man. Number one. Number two, not only that, but you also got to remember too, if she's supporting a 2-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment with a car note, and say, on average, I want to say rent a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment on average runs about what, $1,400, $1,500 a month?
For a what? 2-bedroom, 2-bath?
Yeah.
No, honey, I have a really nice 2-bedroom, 2-bath for $1,300 a month.
Okay.
You can get a decent size 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom a month in Baton Rouge for about $1,000.
Yeah, but you're also got to figure that's just in Baton Rouge. That's not everywhere else. Like on average.
Well, you have to realize this is a city technically.
Yeah, but
it'll be cheaper actually in other areas. Like if you're in the other area of Louisiana where I live, it'll be cheaper.
Yeah, but it won't be cheaper in, like, say, a big city like Los Angeles or Las Vegas.
If you stay in Los Angeles and you're a single mother, what the fuck are you doing?
Right, right. But I'm just saying...
You realize that you cannot live in Los Angeles unless you are basically the perfect person to live in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Which means you're willing to sleep on the mattress on the floor in your friend's house.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is what may be the average monthly rent for your city may not be the average monthly rent for somebody else.
Well, we know that. That's why we're saying average.
Yeah, but we're saying overall in general.
Los Angeles is that you're bringing in an outlier that is so ridiculous that kind of skews the argument.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to put a bigger point is what I'm saying is because what average for Baton Rouge, Louisiana might not be average for another city. I'm saying in general, in general, as an average across the U.S., at the minimum, on an average, it may be lower, give or take $100, $200, whatever. On average, it's at least $1,500 at minimum.
I mean, what we will have to do is look up a statistics of the household income of every state, and then compare that to the average monthly cost for a two-bedroom, two-bath.
Now, wait a minute, baby.
That's what we would have to do. Because remember, different states have different rates of minimum wage and for dividends. So people in Louisiana, don't forget, our minimum wage is only $7.20 or something like that. But in California, it's like 15.
Okay, I just Googled it. I said, what is the average monthly rent for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in the United States? On average, I was actually lower. On average, through the entire United States of America, on average, the least amount is $1,702.
Okay, but the problem is that 2-bedroom.
Is that including California and New York?
That's everywhere.
That's the problem. The thing is, in New York and Los Angeles and stuff like that, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Los Angeles costs like $34,000 a month.
Yeah.
That's the problem with looking at a U.S. problem.
Yeah, and the thing is what I'm saying is the reason why I'm saying it the way it is because that's just the first one that popped up on Google. That's literally the average of what Google says is the very first popular one on Google.
But the problem with just saying that, I get your point, but anyway, bringing up the average house income. It's like saying, hey, what is the average pant size of a regular female of the United States?
Yeah, good
A
luck
5? Okay.
No.
So therefore, every single woman should wear a size 5.
That would have to be maybe back in the 1920s when the average woman's pant size was
point.
at a 5.
That's the point.
So yeah,
See, that's the point.
yeah, but
Because you have women who are smaller, you have women who can be bigger too.
yeah,
Women who are pregnant, women who have medical conditions like PCOS.
yeah,
You have all these other conditions and things you have to worry about. And
What
also,
I would say, see if you can find a stat that would exclude high income states like New York and LA and California.
in a luxury apartment, and I'm only paying $1,350 a month.
okay. Hang on, here we go.
Most apartments near where I live for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath are like $900.
California is 1900 for overall.
Yeah.
So again, that's California. Los Angeles, it's like 4,000.
Yeah. Like, everywhere with the exception of California and New York. On average, at most.
I want you to look up the average 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in Louisiana. If you can look that up for me. And the hard part is you have to exclude luxury apartments. We're going to the bare bones here.
For a fair market one, for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Louisiana, the cheapest is, ranges from $725 on up to $1,061.
Yeah, so but the 1,604 is the luxury apartments there for the 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
So let's say we cut around to 900. That's where we get to the lower income 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and these are the people that we're talking about. We're not talking about the medical student. We're not talking about daddy's money. We're not talking about. Yeah, we're talking about the single mom with 2 kids.
Yeah.
She has to live in a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment that's cheap.
Yeah.
So we say 900. Okay.
But that's
Most
also
apartments that are like
also
that
with
will
HUD.
include electricity and water.
Well, yeah, most, not all.
Correct. But we'll just say that it doesn't. Okay.
Mhm.
Water should cost around $40.
Depending.
So 940, and then I would say for electricity 150. So she is about right now $1,090.
Mhm. And then you have to
Food.
include food for both her and her child.
Yeah, I know.
As-
Give me a second. I'm going through the entire step. I've been living by myself for 6 years now. I understand.
And And
So food, if you really think about it, you can probably spend about $400 to $500 for the three of them if you're not going out to eat every single day
yeah,
and you're field planning.
yeah,
Are we assuming this mother of two has child support?
probably if she's a single mother, then that would probably be a case too.
So child support is based upon income. Generally, for my dad, who was a lower income father, spent about $300 per child
Yeah,
per month.
yeah,
So we add $600 to her. So right now she's negative about, let's say, she was $1,650, about negative $1,200 right now.
mhm,
No, negative 1200, negative 1,000.
mhm,
Right?
yeah,
Phone bill, car, and note. We'll say she got a used car, has a note of 200, so
mhm.
she's at 1,200 right now. Notes.
And then you gotta include
Insurance is 200 a month, so she's at the 1,400.
yeah, and then you gotta include also internet because schooling
Mhm.
nowadays you have to have
Internet's $60.
Mhm.
Internet's $60-$70.
Yeah, and then you gotta
So
include
she's at $1,470 right now.
yeah, and then you gotta include daycare if the children aren't old enough, or
School. You'll have school.
okay, but after school, like say if she has to stay at work for a little bit for a couple hours over, and she has to include daycare, or if you also have to include school fees, like if they want to go on field trips.
Well,
or,
in general, you're talking about someone who has the finances to do that. Most times, if a person can't do that, they'll have a job where they'll work in the morning, so they get off for their kids in the afternoon.
Well, yeah, but then you also have to, like I'm saying, you also have to, with all of that on top, those are just the basic necessities. I'm talking you also.
Not really. I
Okay.
mean, that phone's probably not just $200 a month, so she's at $1,600.
Yeah, but you also have to.
And what else is there? We did everything.
You also have to include all the school fee stuff, like for kids going on field trips that they want to go on. You also have to include
That's miscellaneous. That is extra shit that's not included into this money. That's miscellaneous.
If you are a mother or if you are a parent of a child or one or more children, you have to include that in there because you're gonna want your kids to be able to go on the field trips when they go for their classes. Because sometimes those class field trips are a part of their fucking grade, and you want your kids to do good.
That's against the law, and also, I could not. My family couldn't afford it, so that I don't think that's true. I think we couldn't afford to go on field trips, so we actually didn't.
Well,
I was one kid who actually stayed behind at school and did little worksheets while my classmates went to school.
But there's sometimes that you will have to pay for it if you have kids. On top of if your kids want to be in band or if they want to be a cheerleader or in football, you have to include those fees in it too.
I understand that. However, that's miscellaneous.
Yeah.
The problem with saying that is, one, most times
we're talking about bare minimum.
Bare minimum.
Monthly stuff.
We're talking about a child that's like, you are just there to take care of those kids. Those kids just need to be living and shitting. And let's say that she has two kids in grade school. Like, let's say one's in first grade, one's in third grade. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So generally, I did not get new clothes until every other year. And it was the cheapest of the cheap from Goodwill.
Well, yeah.
So I would say maybe $100 a year for each of them for clothes and shoes and everything.
Mm-hmm. And
For
and then you have school supplies every year.
School supplies is pretty cheap, especially
Yeah.
whenever it's like get a folder. Bring me a thing.
Yeah,
of Kleenex.
but you gotta remember too, that was back then. School supplies nowadays, you have to go with laptops, tablets, and shit like that.
If the school provides that, they can't force a parent to buy that. They
True.
can't.
True.
Yeah, you're adding, Angel. You're adding things that don't make sense in relation because they can't force somebody to spend $800 on a public school.
True, but I mean
They can't. And don't forget, those kids are going to get free lunch, free breakfast at the school.
Yeah.
And they're also going to get, they're going to get bus rides, so they don't need to be worried about getting to school and getting home from school.
Yeah. Unless you're close enough to the school where they force you to walk, and then you have to either take them to school or walk with them.
But that's not the average person.
True. But I mean,
I would say the end all be all will be around $2,200 a month for everything, minus the 600 from the dad.
Yeah.
I would say about 1,600 in total,
Yeah.
and that's bare minimum.
Yeah.
And that's in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Let's say she's working a 9 to 5. She's working 40 hours a week, working $9 an hour. Her take home per week is only $360. After you take off $60, I'll say about 20% for taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Her take home is only $1,200 per month.
Yeah.
And that's the problem where it lies.
Yeah, is because the hourly wage is like the
Correct.
hourly wage is what's fucked. And what's even more screwed up is the companies aren't doing anything about it.
Well, is it their job to do anything about it? That's not their job.
Yeah, technically it is. Because
no, it's not.
if they want you to
More
work...
of government's job.
Well, here's the thing. What I'm trying to get at is if they want you to work for them and say... And I seen this earlier. If you work... Say you work for a company, okay? And you're one of the best employees or whatever,
Right.
and
Back on a second.
there's been times where a district manager or a person in corporate or HR will literally botch somebody's like interim report of how a group of people is doing in a certain place to not have to give
You ready?
that person a raise
Coming in.
or to give them the
Well-
bare minimum of a raise.
Well, this goes back to the idea of, again, you're talking about stipulations with unique people. But another thing to note is, most times, no one really gives a fuck unless you're in like beauty, like Ulta or Sephora or something like that,
Mhm.
where sales actually matters.
Yeah.
Or you're working at a mom and pop shop where it's a lot more close knit.
Yeah. And
Basically, if you don't cause problems at work, they usually give you like a 30-cent raise each year.
yeah. But
If that.
here's the other thing too. Like if you're working for a company for like a full year or two or whatever, and then you turn around and that company makes record profit sales for that year that you've been working for them. Don't you think those employees that have been working for them for that full year should deserve a raise?
Okay.
No, it's not their job to do it.
Why?
It's not there. It is not. The problem is you're trying to put your own beliefs about how a company should run onto the beliefs of millionaires who you have to realize how they got there in the first place. They're not going to give a fuck.
Well, I mean, true, but in the same token, if you would want people who are good workers and to continue to work for you, don't you think you should actually give a fuck so that way your company doesn't go under?
Where else did they go? Hey, Sally, you're on. We allow you to been working for the mornings for the last 3 years because we know you have to get your kids up and make sure your kids are home in the afternoon. We're not going to give you a raise this year. Oh, can you please? No, we're not. You know why? Because you can't go anywhere else. You can't get the same benefits that we're getting in here. You're kind of stuck.
I mean, if she
What is she going to do?
go and find somewhere else to work.
It's
then-
not that easy.
I mean, I
Again-
know it's not that easy.
Okay, so
but
now she spends $400 a month on daycare because she can't no longer find a job that covers her only other work in the morning, so she can get her kids after school. Now she's down the ticket, $400, and might have only gotten like 50 cents more an hour at the new job,
yeah, but
and that lies the problem.
yeah,
There's no bargaining anymore. That's why unions is the biggest bargaining tool for a particular employee. Why do you think fucking places have a conniption whenever a union's brought up?
well, yeah, especially if
That's-
they're in a union. But you got 95% of the other places that aren't in unions and are not unionized.
That's the problem. Again, that's because of all of the illegal union busting that's been able to go on that the government hasn't done anything about.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the problem. Like,
What you got on you, baby?
that's the problem. Is that
What's this
the
down
average
here?
person does not have enough bargaining power for a corporation anymore because of the lack of unionization.
Mhm.
And so the whole scenario that I just brought up is Sally, you're fucked. Either fuck you pay an extra $400 a month on childcare, or you stay here making the same amount as last year. What would you do if you had 2 kids at home? You're barely making things ends meet, but then you're like, you didn't get a raise, and they told you, you can either go, bye, or you can stay. What would you do?
I would stay at that job until I found another one.
Exactly. Okay, and how likely are you going to be able to find a job that's as accommodating for morning shifts and no weekends?
Because you know what?
I mean,
None.
not true, but in the same token, there's different. Some companies and some management and some companies are willing to work with you on that.
Yeah, but
Okay.
some. We're
Yeah,
talking
some.
about,
we're talking about the general.
overall.
Yeah.
No job unless the management has given the manager, like the head honchos, have given the store manager a lot of like control. You're
Mhm.
not going to get that.
Right.
You're not. You're going to be at the whim of the district manager saying you either yes or no. You're allowed to go. Like, let me just tell you a story. My mom worked at JCPenney. She worked there for like 8-9 years, and she was the manager of the men's department. Again, only making $13 an hour in 2010 as a manager. And beyond that, so basically my older brother was about to graduate from 8th grade, go into high school, and they were having a little graduation. And so my mom took off the afternoon, which was approved. But then they had a no-call, no-show, and the boss told her she had to stay. And guess what? She didn't have a job the next day because she went to my little brother's graduation.
Mhm.
They don't give a fuck,
Right.
and they don't care,
Well, yeah.
and they're going to drop you as quickly as they can. You don't mean anything to them.
No.
You are just a statistic, and you are there just to make them money.
Mm.
If you think you're anything else but basically a house slave, you're not.
Yeah.
That's all you are.
Well, yeah, but because, and that's where the problem is everybody just thinks of their employees and stuff as just numbers and not humans. And
Yeah,
then
well,
that's where the problem lies, is because then you have all your employees that are getting pissed off because they want to be able to have their vacation time, or they want to be able to request it. And some of them request it within like a month or two in advance to forewarn the people of what's going on. And then they turn around and get an attitude because they're all like, because the person that requested that day off or that week or whatever actually decides to take that off or take that day off, and tell them basically, fuck you, you're shorthanded anyway. And then they turn around and fire you because of the simple fact that you just wanted to take vacation that you had already requested 2 months prior to.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, again, that's the reason why, is because you don't have a union. You don't have a union.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the bargaining power.
Right.
And with the government not really backing unions as much anymore, I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of sad. I mean, let me just tell you this. Like, I'm about to graduate in like a year and a half to become a doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I was talking to the residents who I was working for the last couple of weeks at Women's,
Mm-hmm.
and they told me that they make about $9.50 an hour. $9.50 an hour.
As a resident?
As a resident.
Then my sister
Has-
must be lying somehow, because she turned around and said that she got out of college and she turned around and was making $35-$40 an hour.
As a resident?
As
a doctor?
As an LPN RN resident
That's
nurse.
an RN. They're considered full-term nurses. We're not considered full doctors.
That's
We have
so
8 years of
fucked.
college, and we're still considered students.
That's fucked.
And we only get paid $9.50 an hour. Yeah, remember your hysterectomy that you had that took like 2 hours to do?
You mean the fucked up botched hysterectomy? Yeah.
Well, generally a hysterectomy like that lasts like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And a resident usually does it. So that resident, if they would have done it right, let's say they did it right, they would have only got paid like $20 for that surgery. $20.
That's
for
fucked.
doing a hysterectomy.
That's
Pre-care, post-care, follow-up, everything. Only like $20-$30.
That's fucked.
And what's fucked is that we're also not being allowed to unionize.
Man. I don't know.
Only one residency program has been able to unionize a little bit, and that is Stanford. Stanford Medical College has been able to unionize. That's it.
It's still completely fucked, in my opinion.
Yeah. So think about that. It's not just the bottom of the barrel that we're talking about here. It's everybody.
Yeah. And
Doctors.
that's why I was.
Doctors even have this problem.
Yeah, and that's why I was, when I was looking at some stuff earlier, somebody said something about we were in a silent depression.
We could be. I haven't taken a look at it yet, but I don't know.
Because of
What's
all
your
of
take
it.
on it now?
I mean, we haven't reached depression just yet. I don't think.
Well,
And I'm very fortunate in my position. I'm very thankful. I'm currently not paying rent on a space. I'm living with family, and I'm working a middle class retail job, which is paying about like 17 an hour. And I'm full time, so I get 40 hours a week. So
I mean,
I
Mars is in the same boat as you too. He gets like $17.50 an hour. He's a full time, but he's a forklift driver.
Wait. We also got to remember I'm union based, and our recent contract was actually raised our normal rate.
Yeah.
Again,
So
that's what we're talking about. Union help.
I am now officially getting paid like 24 an hour,
Yeah.
Nice.
working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And it's not a cushy job like working retail. By
Right.
that I mean.
Okay,
you
no.
got-
You do not get to say that retail's a cushy job. Oh no.
No, you don't
No,
understand.
sir.
You don't understand. No. So hold on. Hear me out. Cushy job, as in you get regular air, enclosed space. You get controlled temperate, like AC,
Okay.
heating, and all that. That's what I mean by that. That is the only comforts that you really get. in that.
I'll put you in front of a Karen for 2 hours while they yell at you about how they know makeup better than you. And I'll see how it happens.
Or that
Oh,
they're
trust
trying
me,
to.
trust me.
He used to work retail before he became a forklift driver, so he knows.
That's why I left retail, because now I work a forklift and I don't hear a Karen every day. I just hear a Karen of a supervisor.
Oh, you're a forklift driver? Ooh.
Oh Lord. But I'm union. I could literally sit there if one cuss word comes out of that supervisor, oh, it's fucking game.
Because again, you have the bargaining power.
I
Yeah.
have the bargaining power, and I have the fact that the union will back me up if the supervisor goes and tells me to fuck off first. That's when I go into full bitch mode.
Right.
And that's why unions are so good, but they kind of force businesses to not be fucking hecklers.
Yeah, and that's why most businesses refuse to do anything with unionizers or unions because of that, because they don't want to have to be forced into actually doing what they're supposed to do as a company.
Because unions go and take most of their power to a certain point. Like, if you really fuck up, like, let's say, I don't know, you come to the work high as a motherfucking kite, bust open a thing of hazmat, and cause an environmental spill that will go and probably last at least 2 weeks to clean up. Yeah, you're gonna lose your job.
Well, that, and also because with a union, the companies actually have to be forced to do what they're told to do and do it where they're supposed to, whereas when they don't have a
It's just
union...
not management for doing shit that's sketchy.
Right.
Like cutting your hours, quiet quitting you, stuff like that.
Or making you work your hours and botching your hours and saying that you didn't and taking hours away from you kind of thing, yeah.
At that point, yeah, the union will step in, and you could also go and talk with certain people and be like, why is this the way this is? And they'll go and do some investigation.
Yeah. So, that's where that comes into play. But...
And the thing is, it's illegal for businesses to tell you you can't join a union. It's illegal.
Yeah.
Like, you're allowed to join a
Oh,
union
let me see
as long as there's one established. You can join a union all you fucking want.
I want to see something.
There's no like
Okay.
power, and if your
Alright.
business decides to threaten you with retaliation for joining one, oh, that's a lawsuit and a half for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of companies
Right
try to
here.
avoid them as much as possible. And, yeah. Try to give you all these cushy benefits to make you think that you're getting a good opportunity.
Yeah.
But you're not. But you'll get benefits and more if they have a union.
Yeah.
I don't think
Exactly.
that's,
Like our recent contract, we got a raise. All right, that's one option. We also recently got an added holiday,
yeah, that's
which is
cool.
going into
Yeah.
effect next year.
So what's this thing?
On
here?
top of that, we are also given a full week of sick days.
Right.
Yeah.
Still have the same personal days, but
What?
we are given.
And you
that
probably
bonus
still have the
holiday.
same amount of like vacation, PTO vacation days you can take too.
Yeah.
That's gonna bother me.
Her personal days are still three. Still three personal
Right.
days. Vacation still the progressive additive. By I'd say at least my 6th year, I'll probably have like 4 weeks of vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a resident, I'll get 3 week vacation, 2 to 3 weeks of vacation. That's it. And no PTO. My vacation and my PTO are together.
There are guys that I work with that actually have the ability to take a vacation day almost every other week of the year. One vacation day to span out the entire year. Every single,
Wow.
almost every other week.
Okay.
And then on top of that, the retirement benefits, the pensions, all of that is almost phenomenal. There are guys that leave there in more cushy position than when they were actually working.
Well, yeah, because they're unionized.
They actually found that in businesses where unionization has actually happened, profits actually increase.
We made record sales during COVID. Well, that's also because a lot of companies went and laid off a whole shitload. And guess who was the only carrier that was able to go and provide our customers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas,
Yeah. It. Yeah.
yeah,
But
it's
they don't-
bad.
But again, we're still being told we're pulling record numbers.
Yeah.
Cookies.
By the way, also, along with that minimum wage that we made as residents, we still have to start paying our loans back.
Yeah.
And we have over $200,000-$300,000 in loans.
Yeah, which you'll probably be paying off
So
for the
you think
rest of
that
your
minimum
life.
wage is?
Which you'll probably be paying off for the rest of your fucking life till you die. Probably even your kids will be paying that off too.
Oh no, once we start pending, we make enough money to pay it off.
Yeah.
That's why when some people actually pay off their school loans, there's a little like celebration about as big as an anniversary or a wedding.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that's a big deal.
And also, that's another reason why like people of lower income can't go through vertical mobility at all. It costs too much.
Mhm.
It costs way too much fucking money to get through college and shit without going yourself in debt. And you never know that job that you're going to get after college is actually going to have enough money to financially support those loans plus your income. So
Or
you
you're
need-
even gonna get guaranteed a job after that.
Oh, you can't say that. You can never guarantee a job.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
Saying that you're guaranteed a job is a sick dream that no one has.
Right. But everybody wants.
Yeah. Act like it's crazy how much debt I'm in. Like I am already $130,000 in debt. And the sad part is I'm less than average for a medical student.
Yeah.
So there are some students that have no debt because they have daddy and mommy's money.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Another thing to remember is like
Right.
if you really look at the statistic about who's becoming these higher income jobs, they're people of already high income status.
Yeah.
I looked it up a couple years ago. I don't know if it's the same anymore, but only like 10% of medical students come from the lower 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
so
they can't
mine,
afford
like,
it.
What?
Because they can't afford it.
No, not even that. You can afford it with loans, but what you can't do is you don't have the people to push you through to actually make you want to go through it.
Right.
Do you think I want to be working 60, 70 hours a week and studying for more while like giving up my entire life?
I mean,
How would you feel if you had to work 2 jobs and then have to go back home and study for those 2 jobs to do better the next day?
I did it in high school, so I know how it feels. It sucks. I worked at McDonald's and at Arby's my sophomore and junior year of high school, so I know. Plus, go to school at the same time. It sucks. And it's exhausting and taxing and tiring on you. Trust me, I know.
Alright. Do you have anything you want to talk about the economy and how shit the economy is?
I mean, no, but we can move on to the next topic if anybody wants to talk
Let's
about
put
it.
forward some thoughtful solutions.
No, hell no. We ain't none of us gonna have thoughtful solutions about that. Let's be honest now.
So basically, my thoughtful solution: unions.
Is what?
My thoughtful solution: unions.
Right.
Unions, yeah.
Yeah, unions need to be a little bit more proactive in some companies.
No, we don't need our government to allow for union busting.
Right.
Yeah, it's allowed union busting occur, and I'm just like, okay, wow. Like Amazon, I think it was Amazon who cut down the trees in their parking lot so no one can use the shade while they're protesting.
Of course it would be Amazon.
Right.
fuckers.
Yeah, it was shit like that.
Right. Alright, well, okay. Here's our next topic. Did anybody see on the news or TikTok or wherever where almost the entire country of Canada and some people or some schools in the U.S. had their students walk out on them and protest because they didn't want to have one genderized bathroom for everybody to use?
Yeah, I heard about it.
I didn't see that actually.
Yeah, apparently.
But I don't agree with that idea that they want to make one gendered bathroom. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
They should have 3. They should have a family bathroom that anyone can go into, and then a male and female.
Well, that's what most stores, like most like Walmarts have that, but or they should have
Like,
like
who's in the right mind think it's a good idea to do that shit?
Yeah,
right.
Come on.
right, because I mean we already have bullying as it is in high schools, and most of the bullying happens in like bathroom situation, and especially
Let's just add rape to the idea.
right, or having somebody go into the bathroom with their boyfriend.
That better be one big ass bathroom though.
Right, or have like
no. It's like this baseball stadium one with the big troughs. It's just
You mean
those.
like ancient Roman times?
Yeah,
right.
so, like women have to squat over the troughs too.
Oh my
Oh
god.
god. And
Or-
we should just have like sponges with sticks for everybody.
Yes.
Right, or you're gonna
That's
have.
literally like ancient Roman times.
Oh my
Like,
God.
come on.
I would think about it. You would have so many fucking teenagers coming out of that fucking situation being pregnant because of it. Because they took their boyfriend into the bathroom and fucked him during fucking lunch period or some dumb
No,
shit.
wait.
People
Just
are
because
already
they have
fucking
one
the bathroom.
bathroom?
What are you
Yeah,
talking
no,
about?
that's not the.
I mean, yeah, but if you have one big, huge, genderized fucking bathroom, wouldn't you think that would be something that would happen more often
People
than
are
what it is
already
now?
fucking in the
No,
bathroom.
I don't think it would happen more often. I think it would
No,
stay
but
the same.
assaults would happen more often.
Right.
Yeah,
Assaults
because
There are
would.
sick fuckers out there.
Assaults would,
Yeah.
rape would, like bullying and
I don't
fights
think
and
rape
shit.
would. I think assault would. I don't think rape would Because if it is a public, like everyone's going to the bathroom, it's not. It's more people going to be entering the bathroom. So I don't think assault would happen more. I think assault would happen more, but not rape. I don't think rape would.
True, but I mean, you gotta think about it here. There's always that slim chance and possibility because we live in that
slim chance, yes, but like,
I mean,
again, it's not like. I don't think that that's going to be our primary concern at that stage. You understand?
Right.
Our primary concern is people not feeling comfortable to go to the bathroom at school.
Well, yeah, because they have to go. Because you'll have the girls wanting to go to the bathroom in the women's bathroom by themselves, away from other guys.
You know how we fix this? Actually, we just don't allow women at the school. We'll just go back to the olden days and just allow no women at school and only men.
That's not. No, that's not okay. What?
Bro, no, you agree? You agree?
You were raised to be in the house.
No.
Stay in the house.
No, because then you're gonna. That's bringing up a whole nother subject. That's bringing up like the whole. We're gonna have a whole shit ton of people flipping out and doing the feminist bullshit. Do we really want that?
We're
like,
Daily Wire.
It's
Daily Wire.
I mean, it's already doing the dumb shit with the fucking abortion laws and shit. You got a whole bunch of women all pissed off about that as it is, and then you're gonna throw that shit in there.
I just finished Obi-Wan. Do not get me to talk about abortion laws. I'm gonna throw hands.
I mean, we brought up the topic. Might as well. I know we're gonna switch to it at some point.
Oh my god. First of all, like, people need to stay out of the fucking doctor's way trying to make sure women stay fucking healthy. Like, what the fuck?
Thank you. Somebody else agrees with me.
Well, I'm a gay man who's becoming a doctor who might like Obi-Wan. Like, of course I'm gonna fucking agree with you. Preaching to the choir, bitch.
Like, I mean, okay, like I was telling somebody the other day. Here's the thing. I'm not for abortion. Nor am I for, not abortion. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to have, like, say, a woman or a girl that's under the age of, like, 13 just started puberty, and then she turns around and gets raped or some shit, and then she turns and has to have an abortion because, number one, her shit's not developed enough. Number two, she's not old enough to take care of herself and a child.
Okay,
but you're talking about a viable pregnancy. Let's go move on to a more severe scenario.
Yeah.
You have a woman come in, she's 24 weeks, and she has no bleeding, no cramps, nothing. And you check her ultrasound, and she has no fetal heartbeat.
Yeah, and that fetus is gonna calcify and cause her to go septic and cause her to die because of it, because it'll be toxic.
Correct. So some places don't allow you to abort it, and only allow for a viable, a vaginal delivery to occur.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like, we only allow to do a viable vaginal delivery at 26 weeks or things like that. That's the only time we allow. We do something called a D&E, which is a dilation it's called dilation and evacuation, which is basically cutting the shit out. But the biggest problem with all this shit is, like what you're talking about, the infection. It's something called endometritis, which is infection of the inner lining of the uterus.
Yeah.
And it can cause you to die. It can cause you to become septic and everything else like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, women can also get, a septic abortion, or they can have, septic abortion, by the way. Abortion is a term not used for, killing a child. It's usually used for, a death of a fetus before 20 weeks.
Yeah.
That's what abortion is by health professional jargon.
Yeah.
So if you have a 21-weeker, we'll say intrauterine fetal demise. We wouldn't call it an abortion.
Uh-huh.
Y'all understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But also talking about, not really bringing up sex ed as a huge topic they should be bringing up to people while they're growing up. I want y'all to tell me what is one of the major cancers in the world that can be easily prevented.
Uterine.
One of the biggest cancers.
Cervical and uterine.
Correct. Cervical cancer. There's a vaccine called the Gardasil shot. You can start at 11 years old. It's 3 shots in 6 months. you are almost entirely protected against the cervical cancer caused by HPV and warts. Genital warts. You most likely will not get genital warts or cervical cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But guess how many people I see come in? We have to do a colposcopy where we literally have to cut a portion of the cervix out. As a coronalization. But we will have to literally cut a piece of a woman's cervix out because she has cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And now she has increased risk of cervical insufficiency, which means her cervix will begin to dilate in her second trimester, and she'll lose her baby.
Yeah.
So, like, why are we denying this early education?
Because we're a bunch
Gee.
because we're a bunch of
Because we're
idiots.
scared of imprinting on kids.
Well, here's the thing though. With us not imprinting on kids, I seen the statistical thing or whatever earlier today that literally 75% of our 7th graders nowadays, because of the fact that we're fucking up in our school systems and fucking up in teaching things, don't even know how to write their own fucking name. And they are reading at a 3rd and 4th grade fucking level in 7th grade. Because of all this situation.
We're not focusing on our education anymore.
Yeah. We're more
That's why no
worried
child
about...
left behind.
Hey, no child left behind if they're all left behind.
True.
Now, on the point of abortion for me, right? Like, I agree that if it's a threat to the mother's life, if the baby has no, like, what do you call, like...
Viability.
Yeah, right. If there's no chance of it being born healthy and, like, mostly functional, I guess. Like, again, that's something that we can discuss about. But, like...
Let me give you a couple of scenarios. You ready? So, here's one. You have a patient that comes in, and you do a DNA blood test, and you find out the baby has trisomy 21, has Down syndrome. You do not know the severity of it. Would you recommend her to have an abortion? How do you feel about that? It's probably viable, but you're going to have a whole risk of these other conditions, like Hashimoto's disease, which is basically whenever you don't have nerves in your rectum, so you can't poop.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have an increased risk of a whole bunch of other types of cancers and other things going wrong.
Yeah.
Heart defects. Would you recommend the mom to abort the baby?
If it's an early enough stage, I probably would.
And that's the problem. Generally, we don't find out until like the second trimester.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which is usually which is usually almost about 20 weeks, right?
And the thing is, you can also do is you can kind of tell with an ultrasound.
You already have.
So generally, in an ultrasound, you can find two things for a baby with trisomy 21: a loss of nasal bones, and it's called nuchal translucency, where you have a piece of like clearness behind the neck. An ultrasound, but it's not definitive.
Yeah.
What about Turner syndrome or Klinefelter syndrome? Or about Patel syndrome, Edwards syndrome?
I think that most, if it's especially like it can lead to a dramatic genetic defect in the child to where interacting on like a social and human level is going to be difficult.
That's a prison thing.
Like it's one of those things where it's like, okay,
Whoa.
like the amount of people that I have seen who have some form of like
Oh, I know.
Neurodivergence.
yeah, like even just working where I'm at, I'm like, how many people are having problems right now, like of that nature? I'm not saying that we should eliminate them entirely, but there's until we can find a suitable way to deal with it, whether we can treat it in some way.
Well, it's genetic.
It's a genetic thing. You can't really do very much about it to begin with.
Right, but
Well, it's whenever you can't really treat it.
Mhm.
And so it's like, where do you draw the line of, like, and then people are complaining about all this. I'm like, then why don't we do, like, what we talk about with, like, cookie cutter babies? We look at the DNA of the egg and the sperm, and we change it, make sure there's no, like, cancer genes, there's no, like, cystic fibrosis, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then they go in hell and say we're playing God. I'm like, we've been playing God since we were made.
Right.
Like, what the fuck do you mean?
Like, since the beginning of time, we've been trying to play God.
Like,
Come on, get with the program now.
and like, it doesn't make any sense. Sometimes. Like, do you consider an ectopic pregnancy and you abort that ectopic pregnancy? Is that considered an abortion? Would you consider that as mandated?
I would consider it mandated because if it was an ectopic pregnancy, in my opinion, if it got to a point where it would burst the fallopian tube, it would then bleed into the mother's stomach and kill her.
No matter what, if it's an ectopic pregnancy, it's never viable. It's never viable.
Exactly.
So the thing is, generally how we treat it is if we look at their beta ACG, the thing that we look at for pregnancy tests, and we look at it, if we see a heartbeat or it's over 5,000, we give him something called below 5,000. I mean, if you don't see a heartbeat and it's below 5,000, we give them something called methotrexate. It's a drug that's used for cancer, and it'll eventually kill the baby most likely. But if it's over 5,000 and you do see a heartbeat, you have to go in and take it out.
Yeah.
So where do you draw the line? Like, okay, that's a baby, has a heartbeat, okay. What about all these laws that have the heartbeat bill? Okay. Are we not allowed to save this person's life?
Right. Because in my personal opinion, I honestly think in that kind of type of situation scenario, it would be a viable explanation to tell them to abort, because if not, then it's going to kill the mother, because of the fact that with the whole thing of when the baby starts growing and bigger, it will eventually at some point burst the fallopian tubes, because those fallopian tubes aren't that big to begin with.
Oh yeah.
And it will eventually burst and tear open the fallopian tubes, and then in turn,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, and then in turn, the fallopian tubes and stuff will bleed through the mother's stomach, causing a lot more issues and a lot more health issues, and eventually at some point probably killing her if not caught soon enough.
Say abdomen, not stomach.
Okay. It will burst in her abdomen, causing bleeding in the abdominal wall, causing her at some point, if not caught soon enough, to end up dying.
Oh yeah. It's called a I think it's called a hematoperineum or something like that. It's some weird name. But yeah, I mean that's what we do. And yeah, it's just like, that's what I'm worried about becoming an OB guy. I'm like, oh my god, it's like treat patient.
Right. So
It's aborting a baby because you have syphilis, and the baby most likely got sick and now has all these congenital problems.
And
are you allowed to abort the baby?
Right. Or you get like some kind of weird, because if I remember correctly, there's some kind of weird way of contracting something that causes the baby to become toxic and almost like a leech to the mother, and you'd have to abort it in that scenario too. That's,
you know what's the biggest fucked up thing, y'all? If you have Rh negative blood as a mom, you're at risk of killing your baby.
Yeah, I know. I have Rh negative blood. I have A negative blood.
Yeah.
And you
well,
have
I'm talking to the people who might never even listen to it.
Yeah.
And talking to the other two, like.
Yeah, because you have to have a RhoGAM shot in your ass.
Correct.
At 28 weeks in order to prevent your body from rejecting the baby out of your body.
Well, it's not reject. It's just killing the baby.
Yeah.
It's literally called, if you want to look up a picture, whoever you want, it is graphic. Look up something called hydrops fatalis and look at that. That's what happens to the baby.
Mm-hmm.
They become so anemic, their body expands full of fluid.
Mm-hmm.
They literally become a big sponge of fluid.
Oh.
Yeah, well, so if I was to argue about this in a different way, right? Because, I'd come at it from the religious point of view, right? Now, automatically when we say religion and abortion, it's like, what? No, stop. Can't even talk about that. But
I mean, we're going to talk about it here anyway, because this is just based on personal opinion anyway. And if people don't like it, they can fuck off anyhow. So, I mean.
Right. Well, Islamically, right? Again, if it's a threat to the person, the mother, if it's going to cause problems, if it was done, like a rape or like a forced pregnancy or something that she didn't want it, you know, as long as it's within the proper period, you know, it's allowed. Abortion is allowed, right? The if it's if the child is going to have just like a severe run of it, you know, then I believe it's allowed. And you know what we also believe is that any child that dies before the age of, I think it's 7 or something, you know, and that includes like a fetus in the womb, they are, you know, it's considered, of course, not as a full human being at that point, but the soul of the child persists, and they are, you know, the babies go to heaven or whatever you want to say, right?
Yeah.
And we actually believe that they will, you know, attempt to be intercessors upon you on your, you know, on your day of judgment or whatever. So, you know, if it's going to cause more harm than good, then it's, you know, just get it out of the way and it will all be solved in the end, right? You will be judged based on it. But, you know, if it's causing a threat, if it's causing a problem to where, you know, the mother will be, you know, will have problems, you know, after the pregnancy or during pregnancy, then it's allowed before a certain point.
And the problem with the religious argument is that there's the whole, specifically in the United States, and a lot more of the countries like France who are trying to push the secular argument. Like, we're supposed to be secular. This is a secular nation, technically. We are a secular nation where religion and statehood should be completely not connected, right?
Right.
And that's why bringing the argument of religion is kind of like, in some people's eyes, negated. Because it doesn't matter if it's religion or not. Because in the end all be all, our country is supposed to be secular in nature.
Yeah.
Supposed to be. It's not, but it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, Islam is, as by tradition, is a way of life, a system of government, and everything.
I agree, but we're not. I mean, what country do you live in? You live in the United States, right?
I live in the United States right now.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. The problem is like we're talking about the United States sense,
right?
Because like us trying to talk about the world is ignorance. Like, it's not our right to talk about Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan. We're not. That's not our right.
I'm attempting to also, you know, for people who may be listening, I'm trying to make that statement as well. But yes, I understand we're living in the United States, a predominantly quote-unquote Christian country where people both think that we're secular, but then religion should also have some say.
Yeah, so, but here's the thing, in my opinion. In my personal opinion, if we're secular, then we're supposed to leave religion out of it. And they tried their damnedest for how long to keep religion out of the schools and out of the government and all this other shit. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this abortion law shit comes back up. And then they bring religion into it because of the fact that they're saying that it's against religions and it should be against this, that, and the other. And bringing religion into the abortion law.
Because our country is founded on, quote-unquote, religion. Like, we're founded on religious principles. Even though we're supposed to be a separation of church and state.
Yeah. And
it's difficult to do that for, you know,
for a lot of
reasons.
Yeah, for a lot of people. But in the same token, if I remember correctly, the original reason why America was founded, it was because we were trying to get away from the monarchy.
Well, I think the reason why they put it in there was because King George was the king of England and the king of the English Church.
Yeah.
And we were trying to separate that.
I
don't know. It could be just for some other reason, but I don't know what a old man in 1776 thought.
Right.
To be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, when you separate church and state, I know we're getting on to a very different topic, but then the laws and morals come from, like, basically what you would deem them to be, right?
Well, I mean, that becomes the problem of it's what it's the consensus of the population, and that becomes the problem, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
people always change. Attitudes always change.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, like
Yeah. But,
me 2 months ago is way more vigilante for women's rights than I was now, right?
yeah.
I mean, I went through OB Guide and saw a lot of the problems that these laws and things do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I'm not an unbiased observer anymore. I'm not.
Right.
Yeah.
And as a person in the healthcare field, I will never be.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is
And
that the people who should be the best at this argument will always have a bias.
yeah.
Either they put their medicine first or their beliefs first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And most of
And that's where it really comes down
yeah.
to it.
And most of the hospitals nowadays, like I know there's a couple hospitals in Louisiana that are religion-based hospitals, and they go by what they believe in and what the religion is. So they go based off of the religion instead of, oh, well, you know, this person's pregnant, she's going to end up dying if we don't abort, but our religious belief says otherwise, that she has to keep it, whether she
why
dies
can't
or
we
not.
have a balance of it? Like, it seems like we
That's
want to
not how
just,
it
like...
works.
That's not how it works.
Alright.
I mean, have you looked at our country in the last 10 years?
Right.
I'm not talking about the American Christian system, but... you
No,
know,
I'm talking about how polarized we are.
Right.
I understand,
Because...
but it's just like, it's...
Yeah.
There's never a gray area.
There's not ever a gray period anymore, because it's usually either pulled one direction or the other, and it just depends on whoever has the loudest voice wins.
Well, then how about we talk about that? How can we like reduce the amount of polarization?
I mean,
Like I really don't get why.
For a new constitution.
right.
I really don't get why we have to like just keep yelling at each other. Let's just talk. Let's sit down. Let's just discuss rather than just be like, you're wrong and I'm right and I don't care what the fuck you say.
That's
Do you do Thanksgiving?
No, we don't do
Then you don't understand.
that.
well. Here's the reason why we can't just do that is because you have literally people that'll be standing their ground, and then, like, okay, I'm gonna give you an example. Like, say if you have a set of Christians that come in, or people from Catholicisms that come in, and be like, oh, well, this law is wrong, and keeping this law and having it to where it can be banned will make us feel better. And then you have the group of everybody else that is like, well, if we need to have the abortions because of the fact that if we don't have the abortion laws, people will die, and the fatality rate for pregnancy is going to go up skyrocket.
What's going on,
And then you're going to have all the Catholicism people yelling at them and saying, oh, no, you're wrong, I believe what I do, all this other shit. And then eventually, at some point, the people that actually were probably the more sane of the two groups are going to be like, you know what, fuck you, I'm done arguing about this, and just walk off.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where you're going to have the Catholicism people and the Christianities win over that because of the fact their voice was louder and they stood their ground longer.
I feel like it's not just that. I feel like it's more this. It's like the argument happens, and either people leave the argument or become part of the extremes themselves.
Right.
And that's where the fight happens. And then whoever has the most money back in them usually wins.
Exactly. And because
we're not motivated out of like good nature anymore. We're motivated out of like
money and numbers,
money, power, all that stuff. No one cares.
Religion was never about being nice to others. I mean, look at the Pope.
Right.
I mean, who was the most powerful monarch of Europe until like 1800?
Right.
The Pope.
Right. The
I
Queen.
mean, who has the most influence on who can banish and exile fucking kings?
Mm-hmm.
The Pope.
Yep.
Right. Well, see, that's not the appropriate system. I agree with that.
How did people feel better about themselves, thinking like they were not going to hell because they were killing people and murdering and raping? indulgences to the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because that's a failing of the religious system, and I agree with that, of that religious system.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's
the,
why, like, Martin Luther
Right.
and the Protestantism came up, because the power and the rights of the church to dictate how life and afterlife should be
hmm
came to a contention against their beliefs.
hmm
And the way that they were able to control that power is because the printing press was never made, and it wasn't the actual religion wasn't printed into the vernacular.
I'm getting it in my mustache.
So no one knew what the fuck it said. They just had to believe what the fucking priests were saying, who could actually read Latin.
right.
Yep.
Well, that's why I feel like I'm always the I'm the guy who always wants to bring it up, but I get where you guys are coming from, but I'm arguing from the Islamic perspective here.
Yeah.
So
get
when you
your
talk
point
about
too,
the
but you-
church, see, when you talk about the church, I completely agree with you. Okay.
The problem is, I get your point, but
Mhm.
in the States, that is not the problem with the abortion law, though.
No.
hmm
It's not Muslim religion. It's
Mhm.
Catholicism and Christianity, that's the problem.
Right.
your belief system, hon.
With-
It's just not the topic of the argument, the conversation, because it's not important for the abortion topic.
hmm
How many Muslim people do you see on the news complaining about the abortion laws or the lack thereof? Not many. If there are, they're not covered.
Yeah, they're probably the ones that converted to Christianity and Catholicism, to be honest.
Well, because it's all stipulated. It's already been worked out, for lack of a better way of describing it. Like everything, I wouldn't say everything, but most
Also-
things, you're breaking in and out.
That's with Roe v. Wade. Technically, it was.
You're gonna have to repeat yourself. You're breaking it out.
To me, or you?
You.
Well, technically, it was figured out with Roe v. Wade,
hmm
and now it's not.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
they overturned it.
No.
In most states, they overturned Roe v. Wade, and hence why it's being an issue now, because none of the women nowadays are wanting to get pregnant because they don't want to put their own life at risk
Give me a minute, baby.
hmm
because of the fact that
Give me a minute.
the Roe v. Wade overturned, and if
Well,
they put
a portion
them,
of that, I think a portion of that is, to me, it's a plus. Like if you do it properly, whatever, like the idea that pregnancy is going to be less outside of marriage and that stuff, I think that's better, because then you don't have a bunch of these children just floating around not knowing,
well, yeah,
I think you would untangle some of the mess. It's
Well-
not great. It's not a great situation. I agree.
yeah.
I
But
understand.
here's the thing. That's the plus side to the Roe v. Wade being overturned. The downside to it is those women that are actually getting married to somebody where they want to actually try to start a family, but
Mhm.
in the back of their mind is, oh, if I get pregnant, what happens if I accidentally have an ectopic pregnancy, or what happens if the kid dies before so many weeks and they can't let me abort it and it has to stay in my abdomen and or my womb or uterus or whatever you want to call it, and it turns to being calcified and turns to the point where it's going to start poisoning me and making me toxic, and then all that shit that's bundled up and jumbled up into all the risks of getting pregnant
Mhm.
then turns them to being like, well, I don't want to do it. I'm just going to be on, protection the rest of my life or whatever, because nowadays you can't get a partial hysterectomy unless you had at least 2 or 3 kids and are at least over the age of 35.
Yeah. Well,
Unless
think
hold on, unless something dire has actually happened to the point where you have cancer in there, and the only way to get rid of the cancer is by removing the uterus.
yeah.
Or you
I
bleed
know
so
it's.
much.
I know it's difficult for laws because laws have to be sweeping in a way, right? It has to be kind of like, all right, we try to cover as much ground as possible, but the problem is that it should really be a case by case analysis, right? I think the arguments for some people, right? Again, this maybe not is not the majority, but the arguments for some people against Roe v. Wade would be like, okay, well that means that she can abort the pregnancy, you know, even if it's not a threat to her life, she can just do it.
Now, see, that's where I think. Hold on. That's where in my opinion, where I think the Roe v. Wade could partially. I don't think they could partially overturn it, but partially leave it the way it is because, in my opinion, if a woman gets pregnant and it's medically necessary for her to abort the pregnancy, and they find every possible way that it has to be extremely medically necessary to that woman's life. Otherwise, if she does not get this abortion done, then she is going to die because of it. Then yes, go ahead with an abortion. Do a D&E. Do what you need to do to save that woman's life. Now, now, if a woman was dumb and went and got drunk and forgot to take her birth control pill or some stupid shit, or forgot to use protection and went and fucked some random dude and got pregnant and wants an abortion, that, in my personal opinion, the bitch needs to sit there and fucking suffer consequences for her actions because she decided to be stupid.
Right. It's sad that it happens in that way, and it should be prevented somehow. But like,
it is prevented. It's called birth control and condoms, but nobody is smart enough to use them while they're drunk.
Point being is that situation should never happen in the first place. But I understand what you're saying.
But
by the way, just knowing this is just to put a little stick in here. By the way, Roe v. Wade did not guarantee abortion. It only guaranteed the national right to abortion.
I see.
And so now it's more of a state-by-state legislature thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing you have to remember. We're not. The argument is now not Roe v. Wade is now abortion is not illegal. It's now that it's no longer nationally mandated that it should be allowed.
Yeah.
But
that's
here's
what we technically did.
But here's the thing. Now, if somebody were to have a life or death situation being pregnant and it was going to cause them to die because of the fact of the pregnancy, and they're in a state where abortion is illegal, they're going to end up getting, and they have to have an abortion, and they want to go outside of their state line to go get said abortion, and they're found out that they did so, they will get arrested and put in prison, almost as if they murdered somebody because of it. They will literally get 25 to life because they had to go outside of their state to go get an abortion to save their own life.
Yeah. I mean, think about a woman who gets preeclampsia at 20 weeks. What's she supposed to fucking do?
I love you.
She's just supposed to sit on her ass on her bed and not do a damn thing about it. Apparently.
So does that make more babies?
Even though, from what I understand, if you have preeclampsia, it's really bad at 20 weeks, and it becomes a problem to the point where it will kill the fetus, and then in turn will calcify and kill you. But hey, here we are.
Oh, you got take care of you.
Yeah, it's a difficult issue, and there's a lot of factors that can, that factor in here, but, it's an important discussion, and I think there should be some allowance made for very specific situations.
Same.
But the problem is you can never account for all the specific situations.
And but that's why it should be a case-by-case analysis.
Yeah.
But what happens if the mom's dying on the fucking table? What are you supposed to do about that?
Right.
If she died on the table?
Yeah, here's the thing though. If you're going to have it to where it's like a case-by-case situation, and you get that one woman who's pregnant and comes in and something's obviously wrong with her and you don't know what it is, and you run all these tests and everything and you can't seem to find it because most of the tests that you're running are coming up normal, but there's still something obviously wrong and going on, and the woman just dies on the table. What are you going to do then?
So it's say the baby's viable, nothing wrong with the baby, but the mom's dying, and the main way is to do either a preterm delivery, where the baby most likely will die, which you can kind of say is an abortion, or abort the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, because the strain of a baby on a mom is really, really high.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really often, but sometimes you have to terminate the pregnancy in certain medical conditions, like cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like that,
So-
there should be allowances made for that.
What happens if she's dying on the table and you can't go to the case-by-case basis? Are you going to have a judge on fucking hotline and basically say, hey,
I mean, it's pretty much what
Like-
you gotta do.
and that's the problem. We can't just have it by a case-by-case basis.
Did I
His
walk in on
medicine is
abortion?
continuously evolving.
Yes, you did.
Yes,
And
you did.
procedures need to be done at a certain time to save the person's life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
can't.
that's why.
ju-
Okay, so
and-
I say
like-
that. I say
it's
that.
just weird. It's just a hard thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see,
I would say that.
I blame Angel.
What? Why?
So I.
Y'all there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
when you've
yeah.
already invested
Hello?
so much time.
He must have
Okay.
lost his sound.
Hello,
Can't
you
hear
on
us. Yeah, we can hear you.
You need to leave and come back.
Fuck.
But I think that there should be like, okay, if we can make it as clear as possible, right? We should have a law that covers most of like what would be considered the ordinary situation, right?
That's what you're. That's what.
But then there has to be a discussion on the finer points, right? There's a very rare situation, you know, like common situations. We should already have an established rule for that.
Yeah.
But if there is something that is quite unique and you know that we don't expect to encounter, then there should be an analysis of the issue. If you know, if everyone has enough time to talk about it. You know?
Yeah, but here's
Not a birth until the end of the second trimester. I
Well,
have no
see, this
feelings
is
for
where I was
dead
gonna say,
clump of
baby.
dead cells.
Yeah, we can't. Well, like we can't deliberate until you know it's impossible to save anybody.
We're doing
So
a lot.
there needs to be an established rule already for common things, and then
Be specific.
if there is an issue, then it needs to be ascertained and you know judged quickly.
yeah, but you also have to remember too that
Yeah.
if you have like say if you have a woman come in that's pregnant and like I said earlier, there's obviously something wrong with her, and you can't really tell what's going on. But here's the problem:
You know,
you don't have that time needed
obviously.
to do an extreme necessary testing and all that other stuff to be able to find out what's wrong with her and what's going on, as well as if you're gonna sit there and be like, oh well, hey, I have to call the judge to get him to rule on this because I can't give you an abortion until he does so. But in the time of you picking up that phone to dial that fucking first number, she could be dead on the table anyway.
A judge has no place in making decisions on abortions. Period. They're not medical professionals. Their opinions are invalid.
But that's the law.
That's the law. You have to do it.
Program?
What state?
Most of the
That's
ones
the law.
Oh, okay.
that
All right.
most of them that overturned Roe v. Wade, you have to do it. It's a law thing.
Right.
It's a stupid law.
Men, people in long black coats are telling what people in blue scrubs to do.
People in black coats have never put on a blue scrub. Why are they making opinions on it?
Because people who are dumb and not knowledgeable put them in power.
Hmm.
Well, I look at you.
And here's the even more fucked up part is you could decide that you need to abort the pregnancy for this woman to save her life, and not only does she die on the table by the time, or she may not die on the table when you call the fucking when you go to call the judge to have him approve it, and you go to call the judge and tell him, hey, this and this and this and this is wrong with this woman, I have to abort this pregnancy, and he could turn around, look at you, and be like, no, you're not doing it, then you can't do it.
Yeah, there are some people out there that believe that it's the woman's duty to die on the table to just have that baby.
Well, that's just dumb thinking. I think that's just terrible.
It is, but it's the truth.
Right.
And there's always that possibility that they will literally look at you and be like, no, you can't abort that pregnancy. She has to carry it through.
I don't understand why these right wingers want to force women to have fucking babies. But as soon as the baby's born,
Well, I
they
look
don't
at
want to
this
fucking
like,
deal with it
you
and help the
baby.
person out.
Exactly.
You ain't ever
Like,
seen that apartment.
You want babies born into just to be born for the sake of being born?
But yet they're bitching and complaining that we're overpopulated. Go figure that one.
Their solution to that is to kill all LGBT people. So
Okay.
Well, guess I'll
That's
see
a
you
very-
out.
That's a very extremist point of view, but it is a view that exists.
Well,
I mean, how do we repopulate?
right.
The problem is we don't. The straight people keep making us.
Right.
Fucking, there'd be more adopted kids out there if people weren't so fucking afraid of letting people get same-sex couples adopt. Hold on, I'm being called for.
Oh, they
Alright.
anyways.
I see where he was going with that. There would be a lot
Yeah.
more kids being adopted if people would allow same-sex couples to adopt. Yeah, I see where he's going.
Yeah.
This is how.
But like we were saying, I was gonna tell him see you in hell, but hey, because apparently being a part of the LGBTQ makes you go to hell anyway in the Christian and Catholicism community. So, bye.
What's the difference between a Nazi and a gay man?
One of my friends.
One has a penis.
45 degrees.
Oh yeah.
Do you get the joke, man?
I got it. Remember what?
How a Nazi salutes and how a gay man puts their hand.
Did you ever see how a Nazi salutes, Ellendale?
I know a Nazi salute. Okay. I'm just not as shitty-minded as you people. I get it. I think I get it.
Fuck you, bitch. How you like my apartment? Oh my god. Look at my apartment.
Oh wait, hang on. Whoops.
Look at my apartment.
Yay! Are you sitting on the floor?
Yeah, I'm cleaning.
Oh, okay.
And I have my daughter.
I have my son over here laying down on the floor with his legs up on his back.
And here's our beer fridge that's kind of empty right now.
My son decided to curl
Our beer
in the
fridge is
corner
kind
of
of
the bed.
empty right now, so
You mean
it's sad.
you mean our son?
Are y'all there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're here.
His phone's cutting out again, so he won't be able to hear us again.
You good, man?
Why I keep disconnecting audio-wise? That's weird.
I don't know.
That is weird.
I gotta get going. Hey, I gotta get going.
Okay,
All
See y'all
right.
later.
see you later.
Bye. So, what else do we want to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, shit, did a long conversation about it. We were at 87 minutes on those.
Well, like, so, you know, religion and even Islam has some very specific views on gay and LGBT people, you know, LGBTQ, right? There's definitely issues with that.
Yeah.
The whole idea is that, you know, if you are someone who is born, and it's the same for everyone, okay? So like for me, as a straight, you know, as a straight man, you know,
Yeah.
we all have desires and urges, right?
Mhm.
And the idea is that for everyone, not just gay people, not, you know, like,
Yeah.
some people would be like, oh, so just gay people, just LGBT people have to do this? It's like, no, everyone does.
Everyone does it.
Everyone has to curb their desires,
Yeah.
right? And that is beneficial for you, you know, if you believe in all that. It's beneficial for you in the afterlife that you can, like, show self-control, discipline, and give it up for, you know, what would be considered a greater cause, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same for everyone all around. So, you know, if someone is born and they have a tendency, you know, they're a man and they have a tendency to like other men and they have an urge to, you know, do this kind of stuff, it will be an extra reward for them if they can, you know, abstain. It's like me not going to every woman and being like, "Hey, you know, let's have a good time, let's fuck or something." You know, like that's.
I mean, that's a fucked up way of going about it, but I mean, okay.
Because, you know, some women are down to fuck, you know?
Oh my god. That's just as bad as you going around and doing that shit in GTA, man. And you don't even know if the chick's a dude on the other side of that or not. You just going with the flow.
Right. So, but the point being is that, you know, it's like the idea is that you have restraint. You show restraint. And, you know, if everyone just showed a little bit of restraint, maybe we wouldn't be here today.
I mean, true, but you also gotta remember there's always those people that are gonna always be rebellious and be like, I'm not gonna show restraint, fuck this shit, I'm out. And just do whatever the hell they
That's why
want.
that you get rid of them.
That's why we take the labels off of everything and just let stupidity wean all the stupid people out.
Right. Like, come on. I'm glad someone thinks I'm thinking, man. Like, look, if you know, if we all just exercise a little restraint, you know, and those who don't have to be dealt with, okay?
I mean, true.
Now that doesn't mean that you have to like kill them.
No,
or, you know,
they'll
like,
do it on
do
their
something terrible.
like if you
just kind of like, you know,
take the
warning.
warning.
Do something.
Yeah, take the warning label off. Everything in stupidity will wean itself out. It's fine.
That's why So I've seen this discussion before because I watch a lot of lectures about it. The thing about like super harsh punishments, especially in Islam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a real big problem with, you know, cutting the hand off of the thief or, you know, killing the stoning the people who, you know, have sex outside of marriage, right?
I am.
The thing is that it is unlikely that it will ever get to that point.
Yeah.
Right? The thing is that for you to be, let's say, for example, for you to be stoned, right, to death
Mm-hmm.
for fornicating outside of marriage, right,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be people who see it. People have to be like, there has to be eyewitnesses, okay? And I think it's like 4 eyewitnesses or something. Like you have to have like up to 4 people who will have seen you be with someone who is not your wife or husband, right?
Yeah,
then it
but
has to be
at that
proven in a
point,
court of law,
oh my god.
right?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, you would, there's so much bureaucratic tape there that you'd never get to that point, right?
Right.
And ultimately, what you do in the privacy of your own home is between you and God, right? I can't judge you,
Mm-hmm.
but based on something that's just an accusation, right? It's just an accusation at that point. If I have like, what would you like? That's why you need 4 witnesses, because you know someone could be making it up.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have 4 witnesses and they all corroborate the exact same story, then you know there's your proof, right?
Yeah.
Point being, and then the punishment is harsh enough to where you know no one's gonna fuck around with it, right?
Right.
If you know that you're gonna die because you're putting a dick in this girl's pussy, you're like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if I want to take that chance.
I mean, you might, because
See,
you never
again,
know
and
if
then-
she has
and then-
that. You don't know if she has STD or not. You might.
That's not the point. You're gonna die. It doesn't matter if you're gonna get an STD or not. But point being is that, you know, if you somehow have 4 different people witness you put dick in pussy, you know, who's not your wife.
Why would you?
Then-
But here's the thing, though. Why would you have 4 people just sitting around to witness you do something like
You
that?
wouldn't. You
Exactly.
wouldn't. That's the thing. But see, if you wanted to actually convict someone and kill them and, you know, carry out the punishment, that's the requirement. So my point being is that requirement is very difficult to meet because, you know, people aren't just going to orgy sex parties and doing that, you know.
Well, then if people were going to orgy sex parties and you have 4
Then
other
they're all-
people,
they're
they're all guilty of it. Then at that
They're all
point,
guilty.
and they're all better.
Right, so
they
then
all
it's
gonna
a
keep
mass
their mouth shut,
execution.
right? And they all gonna keep their mouth shut unless they all want to die. Like, I mean, come on now.
Right. So, you know, there's ways around it, but, you know, the word will travel, you know, if you keep doing that kind of stuff, word will travel. People will start being like, okay, something's going on. And who knows, you might just have like enough people who are like, okay, We need to prove whether this is right or wrong. 4 of us go witness and make sure. Now they all dead. You know,
Right.
like again, the system is built around. You know, we are not assuming the worst of them from the beginning.
Yeah.
There has to be clear evidence, and if one of the witnesses is not, you know, accurate with the rest of them, then the whole case is thrown out.
Right.
It has to be 4 people who have the same exact story, have the same exact details, and everything.
Yeah, which doesn't happen very often.
Exactly. So, you know, the punishment doesn't happen on a daily basis. And, you know, places like Saudi, if you want to make some sort of argument, like, oh, well, they just stoned someone last week, you know? Like, people, have you ever been with a human being? They love to take things out of context.
Oh, yeah.
And they love to, you know, so.
There's some people that will love to over-exaggerate on things and make it more exacerbated than what it was actually really was, kind of thing.
Right. So, in that case, you know, the religious rule is correct. The people are not always correct.
Right. But
people have a hard time dissociating what people do with what religion says.
Right.
So I'm just trying to make that point clear.
Right. Not to mention, you're always going to have somebody that's going to over-exaggerate on something, no matter what it is, to make it bigger and make a big issue or a big, huge scene out of something that was really simple and small that really didn't need to go that big.
Yeah, it's the same thing with homosexuality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, people have to see it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can't be killed as a gay person for, you know, someone just saying that you're gay, you know?
Right.
Like, it has to be proven. Again, there has to be witnesses. They have to witness the act of sodomy or whatever you want to call it. Like, it has to be witnessed. They can't just be like, oh, yeah, he's gay, kill him. You know, that doesn't work.
But here's the thing. In the Bible, it doesn't state anything about a man being with another man or a woman being with another. In the Bible, doesn't it state, thou shalt not lay with whatever? What is that verse about?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. But, you know, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is quite present in both the Quran and the Bible.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have precedent, basically, of, you know, God being like, you know what, this ain't natural and this isn't right.
Yeah. Hold on, let me look that up, because that's going to bother me now.
Yeah, this isn't human nature to perform these kind of acts, you know? And ultimately, in this day and age, to each their own, you know, I don't care about whoever you fuck, whoever you love, you know, like, I don't care, right? Just don't advertise it to the whole world, because that's gonna get you killed. That's where you get the grief from, you know? Like, if people weren't just so much like, hey, you know, I just had sex with this guy last night, you know, and whoops, you know, it's like all that kind of crap, you know, it's because people promote it all the time. You know, you can be gay and have gay sex, you know, that ultimately that's between you and, you know, God, right? Mm-hmm. But if you make it public, then it's your problem. You've created the problem and you're going to be punished for it.
Yeah. I think the passage has changed since the last time I looked at it, because it's saying...
Why would it change?
Because it's saying something about, you shall not lie with a male as with a woman. But I don't think that's what the main thing said.
Yeah, ultimately my whole idea is that, you know, every person can do what they want. Ultimately, it's not my business and I can't do anything about it. God will be the judge in the end, you know?
Well, that's what most people need to have that mindset about, is like, you do you and do what you want to do, but don't try and be one of those people that's going to force it and push it onto somebody else.
Well, because they're also doing it, right?
Yeah.
The biggest problem is that both sides are trying to influence a generation, basically. You know, there's an influence upon a generation, and that's the issue, right? If everyone just lived their lives like fucking normal people,
And left
and
everything alone and stopped trying to force shit onto other people, it'd be a much happier
we
world.
right, but it's the nature of the fact that we have different ideas and we have different viewpoints, and you know that could actually enrich us, but instead it's actually tearing us apart
Yeah.
because we can't stop talking about
Because we
how-
can't agree to disagree.
right.
Everybody always has to be the person in the right, you know. They have to be like, oh, I'm right, you're wrong, and you're just, you know, you're in the wrong, but you have to do what I say because you're wrong, kind of thing, and that's not the case.
Hmm.
So, and when in all actuality, the actual reasoning is, you know, what you should really actually be doing is being like, okay, like with us, like as a friend group, I'm pagan. Everybody knows I'm pagan. We know Bark is atheist. Everybody knows he's atheist. We don't know what religion Mars is because I don't think he's ever stated it. And we know you're
Maybe one of
Islamic, huh?
Maybe he's a what's that called? Agnostic.
It's possible.
I don't know.
And we all know you're Islamic, and you do the Islamic traditions. And I think we have like a couple other people in here that are Christian or does the Christianity thing. And we all sit here and we all talk. We all still hang out. We all still joke around with each other, and we all still do the whole thing of we agree to disagree. Like, we know your religion, you know, certain people's religions has disagreements on certain situations and topics. But do we jump down each other's throat and be like, oh, no, you're wrong. You got to do this, this, and this. You're supposed to do this, this, and this. And no, we don't.
Yeah, it's just that we don't have to be butthurt about it.
Right.
People love to get butthurt about things.
Right.
It's like, God, calm down. It's
Right.
like, what is worth you wasting your breath on someone who won't listen and, you know, who's going to just end up hating you anyway?
Right.
Like, think everything, you know, and the Islamic tradition teaches us, right? Or
Uh-huh.
teaches that, first off, if you can't say anything good,
don't
don't
say
say
it
anything
all.
at all.
Right.
Right. The second thing, and you know, if you witness something immoral happening or something unjust, right, you're supposed to, you know, you're supposed to try and prevent it. Now, there's a number of ways you can do that. You know, I guess you could physically try and do it, but you know, that's not favorable all the time.
Right.
So then you could say something if you really wanted to. But again, that's not always feasible. You know, what if you have a really good friend and you want to maintain that friendship, right?
Right.
So then the least that you can do is in your own heart and mind, protest against it.
Well,
You
here,
know, you can say that I don't agree with what he's saying, but I'm not going to actually say anything about it.
or what you could do is be like we do normally most of the time is like if we have an opinion that we want to voice about certain things, we're like, okay, well, this is just my opinion. I'm going to voice it to you. Take it or leave it. Do whatever it is you want to do with it. But
Right.
we don't get butthurt about it because we already know it's based on our own opinion, and like we don't like what this person's doing, and like say like the other day when we were talking about how Lewis was dating somebody and how there's been numerous times I've dated people and you guys didn't like him or like the person I was dating, and you would voice your opinion about how you didn't like him and you felt weird about around him or whatever, and then I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to take your opinion in consideration. But you're not going to you wouldn't sit there and force me to try to break up with the person because you felt at the time, and I felt at the time, that person made me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I was probably as dumb, stupid, and naive in the process, but in the same token, you know, just like with Mars, when y'all first met him, I don't know how you guys felt about him, nor, you know, or whatever, but you guys still tolerated him hanging out with everybody. You guys still, you know, were hanging out with him and me at the same time. And
Of all the men that you brought in, I've liked him the best.
I know, because you guys have a bromance going on. We already
Shut
established this.
You know, like with some of the other guys that you brought in here, I was like, man, this guy
Yeah.
just sounds like a dick and an asshole, and I don't know what he's doing.
Oh, I know.
And
You
then
voiced
also
that a
they were
couple.
like having all sorts of like outside relationships and stuff too,
Yeah.
outside of SL, and I'm like, this is just not it.
Yeah. And I remember
But Mars has
you.
been the. Yeah, go ahead.
I remember you voicing your opinion about that a couple of times, and I know Lewis has done that a couple of times, but yet y'all still didn't force me to stop dating that person because you felt that it was making me happy at the time and wanted me to see it for myself instead of me getting butthurt about it, doing the thing of being the adult and the normal person of I'm going to take your opinions into consideration. And maybe it's because you guys saw something I didn't see because I was being stupid and naive and not wanting to see it. That kind of thing. But in the same token, like I said, it comes down to where if you want to like be like a person and voice your opinion on certain things, you should be able to still be able to voice your opinion and not be hated or judged or treated like shit because you voiced your opinion about certain things, and then everybody else gets all butthurt and pissed off and starts yelling and causing an argument and a fight about it because of the fact that you voiced your opinion on a subject that they felt strongly about.
Yeah, my first impression on you, Mars, was that you're better than the normal trash that she brought in.
Don't choke on it now, babe. Damn.
Holy
But
shit.
then, you know, no, man. Like, I don't know how much you're aware of the previous men that she was
Yeah, he's
involved
very
with.
well aware. He's
I'm-
very well aware.
Right. So you know
Yeah,
that
with
they're
their
all
bullshittery.
Yeah, so you know that they're all pieces of shit, and that they all had their own, like, in real life issues that they then wanted to project in their second life, and it just bleh, bleh. So, you know,
Is that your form of spitting on it, doing the bleh?
yeah, pretty much. So when Mars comes along, and I'm like, you know what? Baseline, this guy's better than those assholes. We'll see where it goes from here.
It's the difference between getting served a pile of shit and a hot dog. That's what you were.
Danny, you're my hot dog with potato. You're my potato. It's fine.
I'm her potato.
You're my favorite potato.
See, like, you couldn't talk to any of those other assholes like this.
True. This is true. So, but
So when did you stop loving me? When your thighs got big.
ooh,
What?
What do you mean?
nothing. I just got a really bad image in my head. Really not the one. It's not the good idea to do that.
When your thighs got big from jumping to conclusions. Oh! Sorry.
Wow. Well, that's gonna be permanently on YouTube now.
Yep, it's forever recorded.
Hey, you want to be demonetized?
No.
No.
I mean, girl, you're already not monetized. We talk about controversial stuff, and that's against the terms of service.
I mean, true.
Ooh,
Is your channel banned yet?
No, it's still going.
Okay. Now it's banned.
There's my sexy husband.
Oh Jesus! Here we go.
Yeah, I was just talking about it.
Here we go.
I will endure 1,000 deaths before I yield.
And there
Swear words,
goes
you're gonna
Mars.
get DMCA.
Right. And then here comes Mars in with all that other shit. Here we go. Yay!
Let's go see what else we can get.
Mars, stop.
Gun!
Baby,
Mars.
stop it.
You're gonna destroy your girlfriend's YouTube channel.
And Bark's joining in now. Here we go. Fuck it. Why not? If we're gonna get banned, go out with a bang, right?
Stop.
Alright, so
Alucard, get up here now! I'm locked in with the committee on the 3rd floor,
See,
and...
I'm gonna have to stop you right there.
No.
You see, I'm under direct orders from my boss, who is a total bitch, by the way. And I am not to leave this room until such time as the committee has left the building. I was even bribed. Imagine that.
Alucard, you vampiric asshole, I will...
Sounds great, but I'm gonna have to go now.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just queued up an episode of Adventure Time on Netflix.
Yes, I have.
Bye.
Adventure Time.
You know. Discovery.
Here we go. The montage.
I think you can hear the intro in the fucking background.
I have no idea.
I had McDonald's.
But
I'm gonna have diarrhea later.
Why do you do this to yourself?
Because it's good.
I'm not your mother last night.
Well, I guess that
I
makes
hope
it a
not.
perfect end to this podcast video. Fuck, might as well.
Alright, I missed 99.9% of it.
That's alright.
It's fine.
You carried the end, my friend.
Right. Alright.
Random reason, no only war.
Jesus Christ.